Hello, hello, hello. This is Tom from Tom and Ruth Filipina Adventures. Today I want to talk about lease or rent or own. What's the best way? Her cousin came to me back, it's probably been 3-4 months ago, and asked me if I want to take over a lease on a particular property. The owner needed the money. He got a lease from the owner on this house and lot. The owner has to pay him back within 2-year period, 100,000 peso. Can he do it? Probably not. So this cousin has this house, and I said, no, I'm not interested in doing it. But you can actually lease a house here. You can lease a house for however long that you want. And what I mean by that is you can lease land and property. Now, for an example, her sister has some property also that she is leased. Someone needed the money, hospital, and he basically signed over the land that she can use the land for a period of time while he gets his money together and back up and pay the debt off. Well, that was 8 years ago. He's still unable to do it. So she has the land. She does her sugarcane crop on it, rice fields, things like that. So there's advantages to leasing. There's a lot of leasing here, a lot of leasing. You go to the barangay captain, there's paperwork you have to fill out. Then, of course, the attorney. You have to do attorney and to get it notarized and correct documentation, correct papers. So it usually goes from 2 or 5 years, some go 10 years, that the leasee can have that property for that period of time. And they use that property and things of that nature. Now the taxes, from what I'm aware of, the owner still has to pay the taxes because he owns the land. The leasee shouldn't have to pay the taxes, something they don't own. They're just leasing the land. Works kind of like in USA, same principle. Farmers, sometimes will go farm land and lease it from some owner of the land and lease it, and then they'll put their crops on there, and then they either get a piece of the crop or they work out the lease. Now here, like where we're at here, I own the land. No, my wife owns the land. I built the houses. So we have 50-50 here. This house can be moved, but it's not going to be moved because I'm not going anywhere. But so you have to think about it. There's many things to think about. Of course, you have to be smart. But leasing sometimes, it might be a way to go. Now, you can own a condo. As being an American, you can own a condo. But there's a lot of things when you own a condo. For me, I would only own a condo for investment. I wouldn't own a condo for anything other than investment. Because you still have your dues, you still have the pesticide dues. You have so many things that's involved when you own a condo that creates more of a mountain. And as you know, one bad tenant beside, above, below can really cause you a lot of heartache. It's like living in an apartment. That's the reason I hate apartments. You have an apartment, your neighbor becomes your family. And if they're a bad neighbor, this is a bad situation. So that's the reason why I decided to do this. Now, we could have leased the land. We could have done that. He wasn't willing to do it, but I did not. I wanted to own it. Chicha owns it, but I'm not going anywhere. The thing too that you have to think about also is if you do that, you gotta if you own the land. Of course, now there's a lot of particulars when you own land here. If you want to own a piece of property here, there's title, the deed, the registration of the deed. There's many things, taxes, that's taxes been paid on that piece of property. If not, the owner has to pay it. In a lot of cases, they cannot afford to pay the tax on the land. If it's out on the highway here, for an example, I'll give you an example. It's 1,000 peso, which is $20 per meter on highway. So if you have, I'm just going to say 200 meter, it's 1,000 peso per meter per year. So our house is in off the highway, and of course it's plotted through the blueprints. And even ours, I think it was 15,000 peso was our property tax. Which is, if you think about it, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. I think they have next year it's going to reduce down, be like a little more than $100, probably 5,000 pesos, something like that. We had to pay tax on the sale and all the other stuff. But as you know, owning property can be frustrating and heartache. You got to make sure that they have actually a clean title. You got to get a great surveyor, engineer to come out and survey the property, because guess what? they survey it. You got to make sure it's done right, because we did. We had to put the highway markers and all that above, because I have so many people ask me about buying property, if they should buy property or not. You know, that's your own decision what you want to do. Sometimes Filipina family will already have some property, and they'll sell you property, and you can already build your house on that piece of property. If you do not, then you have to make a decision whether you want to have an apartment or you want to lease or things like that. Sometimes leasing is better. So many Filipino you can actually lease from, because either their land or property is, they need the money. So you actually say, okay, I'll take this piece of property for how long, you know, 2-year, 5-year, 10-year, and you set the price, and then they have to pay you back during that time at the end of the lease, because you have it for that time, because you paid for that time. So at the end of the lease, you can actually say, okay, you have the money. If he does not have the money, you just keep going on for another 2 years, and that's in the contract reoccurring. Now that was in this particular contract their sister had. So, but you can they have probably, I don't really know, probably 50 hectares or more land and things like that, sugar cane, rice fields, corn, maybe a little less than that, of land that they lease out, that someone leased to them. Now, in a lot of cases too, you'll find that some Filipino just want money that's quick fix, meaning they know they need the money, they need $50,000 up front fast, so they will say, okay, I'll lease this land for you for a year. You take all the crops and everything, the profit from the crops is already on it. And sometimes you do that, and that happens a lot too. Or the guy says, I need 150 or 200,000 peso. You keep the crops. You go have it surveyed. Get somebody. You have to have someone that knows what they're doing on these crops. Not all crops bring in a lot of money. You know, sugar cane, from what I can tell, is the best. And then you have your rice and your corn. Now, you don't believe it or not, they make good money on corn too. Corn's not a crop that, not because you feed your pigs. Corn is something everybody uses, like USA. So you can, people make money on corn. I mean, corn they grow, well, you know, 3-4 times a year. And sugar cane, they do it 1 to 2 times a year. They cut it. But sugarcane brings back the best profit. I mean, per hectare, depending, you can make anywhere from 50 to 100,000 peso per hectare, easy on sugarcane, depending on the strength of the sugar and what variety it is. There's many variables all in it. Sugarcane here is, you know, this big. Where I come from in Florida, Lake Okeechobee, it's sugarcane is that big, you know. That black dirt Lake Okeechobee in Florida. They have sugarcane. Dixie Crystal's down there also. Dixie Crystal here also. And the cane is bigger. And it grows a little differently. It grows taller there in the U.S. U.S. will get probably 10 feet, 8 feet, 10 feet. Here it gets 6 feet, 7 feet. Some depending on the variety. So, so lease or buy. Sometimes you may look at lease. And there's many ways you can find lease. I'm going to give you at least one I can think of right now. Go on Facebook Marketplace. There's many people on there want to lease their land out. They need quick money, quick cash. Get an attorney involved in it. Make sure you do that, because if not, you might find yourself losing out money. Also, they may want the property surveyed. You can be prepared to pay for that. It cost me $100 to have this property surveyed. So, but I don't have hundreds of hectares. But they can do a survey pretty fast. Don't take all day. It takes, you know, depending how big it is, you know, 3 to 5 hours. And a good surveyor is hard to find. You need to find one that's reputable, that actually will give you the blueprints and give you all the copies. We had to have a vellum made, blueprint, and then we had to have 4 copies made, because one goes here, one goes there, one goes here. And just to let you know, when you buy property, be prepared to have all your T's and your I's dotted and everything else. One mistake can cost you all over again. Chichi has spent numerous trips to Malaybalay. One day, 8 hours, next day 8 hours, just at ROD. I went with her one day, ROD, and after 8 hours, I said, forget this. You know, she said, no, I'm in my queue. And she's in her line. And I mean many. So when you go to BIR, there's worse. When you go to You have to, here is not one room. Here you go here, 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 land bank, here, 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 here. And not one trip, not two trips, not three trips, but 4 trips or 5 trips, depending where the county seat is for the land. And as many costs, 100 peso here, 150 peso here for the tax document, 100 peso here. I think all in all, taxes, everything ended up costing us about 30,000 peso. It's all done, you know, taxes all. But at the end of the day, it's really, really, really cheap because it's all done, everything's complete. So we go down the road, and when I'm gone off this earth and Chicha's gone, our daughter and our kids will have this place, and believe me, they won't sell it because they all love it. Everybody loves my place out here. Everybody wants to come and stay out here and lay out back with underneath the trees with the hammocks and the things like that. So thank you everybody for watching. Please hit subscribe.